Welcome back to Lucky Top. What's going on, Josh?
Devine, what's up, my guy?
Hey. So we have a short crew with us today, just me and Josh. We're going to be talking to a couple points today. We'll start with the BaseVols, our Tennessee baseball program. A lot of stuff to come out for NFL draft, so I imagine we'll take a good amount of time there. And then we'll talk about NBA playoffs so far and leave y'all with the best bets for the weekend. Um, Josh, I'd like to get started with the Tennessee baseball team. I think we've pretty much been dominating most of our opponents, other than our one loss to Kentucky last week. It's been pretty stellar record for us. What are your thoughts on Tennessee ball right now, and how far do you think we can go?
Yeah, man. So I know last week I was pretty down on the team with thinking that they were going to go lose the series to Kentucky because I thought Kentucky, and I still think Kentucky is a very good team. And kind of as you can see from the rankings this week, Kentucky and us just basically flipped, right? So Kentucky went down to 4 and we went up to 3, holding a 36-7 record. But yeah, man, like we're on a 5-game win streak. We're 14-6 in the conference, 29-2 at home. We barely and rarely ever lose at Lindsey Nelson, and then we're 5-4 on away games. So I like our chances coming up, in the postseason, but we do have a long stretch here to kind of close out the regular season with. We have Missouri to wrap up the series today. We're already up 2-0 on them with a solid performance last night from my boy Drew Beam. He made it to the 8th inning last night. Got a little white knuckle there at the end. Tennessee only squeaked out a 3-2 win over Mizzou last night, but Thursday night, man, the Titans had almost put me to sleep with their draft picks, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I was tuning into the baby seal clubbing that was going on from Tennessee to Mizzou when they beat them 10-1. And at a point in time, Tennessee had 7 runs off of 6 home runs, or something like that. Or I think they had 7 hits and 6 of them were home runs. That's what it was. And that was just indicative of how that night went. And obviously with the score being 10-1, it was never close. So we got to see the offensive firepower that we've come to know from Tennessee over the last 4 or 5 years. Really displayed tonight, or over the past couple of days, and probably into tonight. So we have a midweek game coming up this week against Lipscomb. Obviously, we have a series with Florida. Then we'll host another scrub there for midweek game in Queens. Then we go to Vandy. We always got that one circled. Not a big Tim Corbin fan. Hate that guy. He calls us cheaters and we cork our bats and all this other stuff. But we're going to go down there and do what we do to the Vandy boys and take care of them. And then we got Belmont coming to town after the Vanderbilt series, and then we go into the South Carolina series. So we'll probably have to have our favorite resident Gamecock fan come on and talk to us about that series and kind of preview that. But, man, this Missouri series, you can tell that Tony's kind of been out for blood with some of the comments that he's made. I don't know that you're too familiar with Tony Vitello and his history with Missouri, but that's where he played. And that's also where he coached for about 10 years prior to coming to Tennessee. The previous staff, he really didn't care for very much, and he was very vocal about it in some of the pregame interviews this week. So that's why you've not seen him really call off the dogs. But last night was kind of a like I said, a nail biter. I was definitely getting a little antsy to see if we were going to pull that out. But yeah, man, to answer your question about where do I see us going, I really think we have a good chance of making Omaha again. I've said that the last couple of weeks. Tennessee definitely has to make Omaha, or for me, it's just been a definitely it will definitely be a disappointment because just the offensive firepower that we've displayed so far throughout the baseball season, and we've had really good pitching. You know, I talk about Drew Beam, and he was doing yeoman's work last night, and Tony kept trotting him back out there. And most people are very critical about how long Tony stays with a pitcher, especially when it's starting to get to the
So
the end.
would you say that's like kind of like translating it back to basketball, like a little bit like Tom Thibodeau? You're gonna play 45 minutes of the 48, kind of,
Oh,
kind of a tactic.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like he will ride it because baseball is such a arm driven, scenario
Mhm.
based game with the way that you have to do your pitching, right? And I think that's the logic that Tony's using. I can look at it from a obviously playing baseball as many years as I did growing up, from that perspective, but it is sometimes maddening that he will ride with the guy and it's like, dude, that horse does not have any more giddy up. Get his ass off the mound. Call somebody out there. Hey, bring him from the bullpen. Let's
Mhm.
get a fresh arm out there. And Kirby came in last night and he closed it out for us. Did a great job with that. And then we have another guy that's going to get a go tonight. Xander Sechrist. He's pitching today. He's not had a whole lot of time on the mound so far this year. I mean, he's 1-0 on the year. He's got a 3.82 ERA, and he's got 40 Ks on the year. But he like I said, he's only 1-0. He's not had a lot of starts, but Xander's going to do I think a really good job for us tonight. So if there's one thing that I can kind of critique, and I think a lot of other Tennessee baseball fans have been critical on Tony, it's just the whole pitching situation of riding a guy a little too long. Let's be a little bit more, I guess, proactive than reactive, because sometimes we get in a really bad situation where they get in a strong part of the lineup and it's like, man, just get the guy out, like throw in the towel. It's like
Mhm.
Rocky 3, Apollo's just getting bashed in the face, like get him out. Or like Ryan Garcia was just piecing up old buddy a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like just get him out of the damn game. So, but shout out to Drew. He did it. I do want to shout out a couple guys that have just been,
Okay.
offensive powerhouses so far for us. And that's Christian Moore. He's the reigning SEC Player of the Week and National Player of the Week. The guy, he's going to surpass the Tennessee home run record for a single season, probably for a career. This guy has already hit 20 home runs this year, and we've only played, 40, 43 games, something like that. So, like
Mhm.
this guy is going to set some records. And then my boy Billy Amick, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. He's kind of been trying to work himself back into playing shape after having the emergency appendectomy. Yeah, he was playing baseball, and a couple hours later, his appendix explodes, and then he was out for 2 weeks.
Jesus.
He didn't play for 2 weeks. He's coming back, and he's got 16 home runs on the season. He hit 2 home runs Thursday night against Mizzou, and I mean, one of them, like the tracker couldn't even, from the launch angle, he hit it at a 45 degree, and it just went
Mhm.
so high and so far that the tracker for the distance couldn't even track it anymore. I mean, it was an absolute moonshot. So shout out to Christian Moore and Billy Amick, really leading the way for us this year with the bats. But all around, I mean, we've got some absolute brutes out there with the bats in their hands. So that's kind of where I see us. Long postseason run. Obviously, we're currently projected as a top 4 uh, seed in the national tournament here for the NCAA. So our national seed, I think, right now has us at 4, like right behind Clemson, and then you got Arkansas and Texas A&M in the top 2. So we'll kind of see how SEC tournament shakes out. That might shake some things up, but I see us hosting regional, super regional, and then obviously making a run to Omaha, because I mean, nobody's got the bats like we've got them right now, man. They're hot. So
Yep.
that's where I'm at on the BaseVols. Hope
Yeah.
that. Go ahead.
I,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I would say that just taking a look at the team stats, we're fourth in batting average in D1, and we're 11th in ERA. That looks like a balanced team for me. Kind of similar to how we were in basketball. You know, if you're top 25 in both of the key stats, like you should make it into long postseason runs. I'll admit I haven't watched much of college baseball yet, but I think that once we get into regionals and
The
Omaha,
supers. Yeah.
I should be
Yeah.
watching more. But yeah, it's good to see like we seem to have go deep runs in almost every sport. And yeah, like good amount of I guess action to keep us covered until football starts. So
Yeah, man. I totally agree. And, I know this is a completely different show, talking about Josh Pate, but, you bring up football. Josh Pate with Pate State did an absolutely great job with Josh Heupel. There was about I mean, if you go and look at the whole video from start to finish, with the interview included, it was a little over an hour. But there was about 35, 40 minutes of just one-on-one with Josh Heupel. So does a really good job. So if you need some football cream to help your football itch, go check that out on Josh Pate's show, man. So shout out to him for doing that. And thanks for Tennessee putting that on for us and allowing Heupel to come out and give us all that little bit of a preview. So but back on to the football thing, the NFL draft, it's not being very kind to former Tennessee players. I've not seen anybody go yet. So I want you to walk me through like kind of your kind of like your biggest takeaways from the draft, Naveen, from the first rounds that we've seen. What was your biggest like shocks and or surprise? And then what was some that you were like, yeah, that checks out?
I'll say number one, Bo Nix at 12. I think that was
that a shock, or was that like, oh yeah,
that was a
out.
shock? That was a shock,
Yeah.
man. Like I think like obviously, he was, we saw him in the SEC first, right? And we saw like kind of an average guy. We saw him go outside of SEC and really flourish, right? Think that's partially because of the level of competition going down. But we saw 6 QBs.
He also played for a moron at Oregon, or not at Oregon, but at Auburn. He got some good coaching at Oregon compared to what he had at Auburn.
Yes, exactly. Like, I think, probably like he had an Audi ability racing against Ferraris in the SEC, and then he had Audi versus Toyotas in the Pac-12, so he was gassing. So that's what happened.
Easy. I drive a Toyota, proud Toyota owner here.
Oh, dude, I'm a lifelong Toyota. Not a race car, it's a marathon car.
Yeah, exactly.
Last your entire
It'll take
life.
you 400,000 miles, but probably won't go over 80.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's fine, I guess slow and steady wins the race. I would also say Michael Penix getting drafted by Atlanta Falcons.
Is it Penix or Penix?
I don't know. I'll keep it PG and say Penix.
Well, the reason I ask is I've heard so many people kind of go back and forth, and for me, I can only think back to Desmond Howard and that bit that he did with the big Penix energy during College Game Day, and it was like one of the cringiest things that I've seen in a long time. But I've been hearing so many different people say Penix or Penix. For me, it's Penix. I know he was a longtime Tennessee recruit, and I remember his name being Penix. But not to derail you, but I just wanted to hear, from your vernacular. You're a Penix guy. I'm a Penix guy. I think if the world would want to be a better place, we would just move forward with the pronunciation of Penix.
Yeah, I think I started watching Penix when he was in the Big Ten with Indiana.
Indiana, yeah.
Yeah, and there was no concept of Penix yet, so I'm gonna stick with the OG and go with Penix. And that's another person that like kind of, once they left like a bigger conference and went to Pac-12, they kind of expanded their lifestyle.
Swiss cheese
And
defense, bro.
Swiss cheese, and that's great for you, dude. Like once you leave the great conferences and then you go to a mediocre one, you get drafted higher in the NFL. That's proven at this point, right?
Yeah, it was just really weird to see. To your point, with the quarterbacks, it was really weird to see how like just panicked all of those teams were about getting a quarterback. So did you kind of feel that vibe too? It's just like, oh my God, like they took this guy. Oh, so here we got to get a quarterback. Oh my gosh. And then it was crazy to watch.
I'm a Vikings fan. We traded one pick to get JJ McCarthy. That was so soft. I was like, how do you not, like, come on, guys, one pick, you're not gonna be willing to gamble to not get JJ McCarthy? Like, come on.
Now, to be fair, me and Frank have been very big, loud supporters of JJ McCarthy and his potential pro ability. So, skull, baby, bike, stand up. Here we go. I would say you guys should feel good about JJ McCarthy because you could have wound up with a lot worse options, like dudes that paint their fingernails.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that we got a big steal in Dallas Turner at 16. Like, in my eyes, he's like the top 10 guy, and JJ McCarthy is the later round guy. But we flipped it.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay. I'm fine with that.
Well, at least you didn't take a kid that for a huge need that your franchise is lacking for left tackle, and draft a kid that hasn't played left tackle since high school, like the Tennessee Titans did. So, we could have drafted fucking Malik Neighbors. Like, we had the ability to draft him. And you pass on it, and then the next team right after you takes him, and that just drives you absolutely nuts. And then you got your GM Rand Carthon, coming on afterwards and not instilling like any trust in the pick whatsoever, saying, he's a big body. He played at Bama. He never missed a start. He didn't play left tackle, but we're going to move him to left tackle because he played that position in high school. And if he doesn't pan out, we'll just move another guy. We got another guy over there. We've got a backup plan if it doesn't work out. And I'm like, who is the public relations guy for the Titans? Like, you can't have Rand Carthon out there saying that shit to the media, especially when you have a bunch of curmudgeons like me and malcontents that are just like at the precipice of leaving the franchise as a fan, dude. Like, it is so hard to sit and watch Amy Adams Strunk just cart these fucking morons out there year after year and watch them botch draft after draft after draft. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this guy will protect Will Levis. I'm just now barely getting over the fact that the Titans drafted Levis. I really had to divorce the part of being mad and angry over it, that he was a Kentucky player, and seeing just how, just straight ass he was the entire time he was at Kentucky, and just kind of overinflated stats. But he's our quarterback, and I'm going to try to ride with him. But it's hard to support a franchise that continuously craps the bed every single time with their picks in the first round. They did come around and draft the the tackle or nose guard, whatever we're going to line him up as from Texas. Tavonre Sweat. I think that you're familiar with Tavonre Sweat.
Yes.
6'4", 366 pounds.
He's
big,
massive.
big dude, man. So,
Yeah.
like at least, teams aren't going to be able to run it right up the middle on the Titans because we have a big gap stopper right there with Sweat, man. So, and he had, from what I understand, I'm not a Big 12 fan. I don't really, try to pretend like I give a shit about Texas football. But from what I understand, he had a pretty good career at Texas. So,
yeah, I think he's a huge run stopper. That's basically what they used him in. I don't know. I think maybe if they're like planning to line up in like 3-4, it would really work with him. He's that type of player, and I think he's good in the sense that if he didn't get arrested, he would be top 20, top 30 pick.
So he has some baggage, but I like him. My man's coming in with a grill. Like,
yeah,
in his first
you're
interview
getting some
yesterday, he
value
was
there.
slugged out. And I was like, all right, this guy's about that life. He's definitely he's a dog. So,
yeah. Speaking of Texas, like I think the big surprise was the Chiefs were able to get Xavier Worthy, who was like the fastest player in
college football. Yeah.
And it's like, no matter what they do, they kind of find these randoms and they typically work. They don't really have to try that hard. And a lot of the rest of the NFL kind of envies them for that.
Big Andy knows how to showcase speed, like in those types of talents, So, I mean, look at all the people that he's had throughout his coaching career, and Andy Reid. I think he's the new czar of the NFL, man. He's going to pass. I think he's going to pass Big Bill. And we've talked about that, a couple months back, right after the Super Bowl happened on our show, but. Andy Reid, he's not just a quarterback whisperer. He's just a talent whisperer. He knows how to get somebody in a position to showcase their talents at an elite level, and unlike I think we've seen from any coach so far in the NFL.
Yep, I think he has a lot of ability to find value, right? Because this guy's he's not picking before pick 25. He's finding NFL players and people that stay in the league late in the first round, early in the second round, and that should be harder, but he somehow manages to do it. I think otherwise, obviously, we got to talk about Caleb. Where do you see him going? I frankly think that they did a great job drafting Roma Dunze. I did not think that he would drop to number 9. I thought for sure either you guys or the Falcons would
I don't want to bring that up, but I thought for sure Rome was going to go to Atlanta. And when I look back at the video between Atlanta's GM and Arthur Blank, their owner, and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like ain't no way that he thought he was going to get Michael Penix, especially after taking your boy away from Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah. I mean, I did like Kirk Cousins, and I'm happy for him. But holy shit! Like,
if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah, I think they're just hedging a little bit, right? Like they're like, okay, this guy, we signed him for 4 years, but realistically, that's 2.5 healthy seasons. So whenever it's not Kirk, it can be Michael Penix, and I don't think there's a huge drop off yet. We got to make sure. I mean, you got to make sure that you protect both of those guys. That's their number one issue, is getting injured. When they're on the field, they actually perform well. So, except in huge playoff moments. So,
fair enough. And I will say, for Rise Up Nation down in the ATL, I mean, the last time they had a black left-handed quarterback named Mike, yeah, things got pretty crazy down there for him. So, maybe it's going to be on the upswing, and he'll be out there razzling and dazzling like Mike Vick did.
Yeah, I mean, got to get through Kirko, big Kirko. But yeah, like at least it's great for your team to make exciting moves, right?
Sure.
I always say like that's I used to think people are idiotic for like watching round one of a draft or even round two, like but it's really about hope. As you're an adult, you got to have
Yep.
something to look
You gotta
forward
have
to.
gotta have it.
When life is boring, NFL draft gives you hope, right? Because it's a blank slate. You have an opportunity of really messing things up, or really setting yourself up and being ready to set your team up for the future. I think when we talk about Penix, like I listened to the rationale, and they were saying that they don't see any QBs in the pipeline coming through the draft that would be super worthy. So they figured while they have a decent QB, to also draft a good backup, so that whenever Kirk's reign ends, they were assuming that they would be playoff teams throughout that run, and they wouldn't have an opportunity to draft a QB this good. So they took it with Penix, and I kind of understand that. I think either way, uh, drafting a QB in the early first round, even if he doesn't play, that's still worth a lot of money, because
Sure.
it's
You have
untapped
trade
potential.
value and everything else too. If
Right.
it does work out with Kirko and they want to keep him, there's
Yeah,
still
they
some
could
trade
trade him.
value there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the lower end of the gamble. The big time gambles are the paying paying the offensive tackles,
Dude.
especially ones that aren't offensive tackles. I think honestly, Titans.
So he
What?
is an offensive tackle. He's just not a left tackle. That's
But he's
that's
the
the
right tackle,
problem.
right?
Right tackle. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think. Yeah, I think once Taylor Lewan left, it's been weird at the Titans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not busting with the boys no more down in Nashville, unfortunately. And I liked 7-7, man. Taylor was a good dude until he wasn't.
Mhm.
In the sense of being an offensive lineman, not so much as a person. I still like Taylor Lewan and the things that he does with his podcast and stuff. But yeah, man, it's been really difficult on the offensive line ever since he went away. And there are some good pieces still around, especially on the
Mhm.
defensive side. I will shout out Mike Vrabel for being able to get some steely-eyed killers on the defensive side. So with the addition of Sweat, maybe that helps shore up some things. But Brian Callahan, I guess that's his forte, supposedly, is offensive line. So we'll see what he's able to do with it. That's our new head coach, by the way, Brian Callahan,
Mhm.
for those that don't know. But yeah, hopefully he can get it sorted out and move the Titans into a new direction, because we're getting that big ass stadium built in Nashville. It'll be done, I think, in 26.
Mhm.
So you got to put asses in seats, and when you do the things that you do, like the Titans have been guilty of doing over the last couple draft picks, um, or first round draft picks the last couple of years, it makes it hard to want to go. So the city of Nashville better get some good concerts lined up so they can start paying the bill for that thing, because I don't think the Titans are going to keep the lights on. So
Okay. Let's move on to a little NBA playoffs. This is a unique time of year for me. Yesterday was my birthday. I turned 33, and I've never really been able to
Magic,
watch.
baby.
I've never been able to watch my NBA team on my birthday, and they fucking smoked the Suns. They were six
Birthday
point.
magic all day.
The Timberwolves are 6 point dogs against the Suns. I just gotta wonder about, like, did someone forget to refresh the Excel sheet? Like, what the hell happened in Vegas, man? You joking? I feel the same way. Same thing happened is, like, typically this happens in game threes, right? even though
Sure.
the first 2 games went the home team way. Vegas flips it, right? So they love to respect the home team. This happened to the Nuggets as well. Same sort of situation. Vegas favored the Lakers.
And we know how that went down.
Yeah, I mean maybe some leftover 420, kind of hangover over there. But like, man,
Before we get to the Lakers, I will give you a shout out on your T-Wolves, man. But yeah, we've got to circle back to the Lakers. I've got some thoughts on that.
I'll stick with the T-Wolves. Really, I think we got a bunch of players that can make an impact, and it's not household names, right? I feel like Karl Anthony Towns is kind of like regressing, but people are improving. Jaden McDaniels is doing really well. Rudy Gobert is. I don't really like him because of how much money he makes, but he plays very solid defense, and he rebounds the shit out of the ball. He takes over.
Clear some room for he needs. You're saying he needs to take a little less money.
Yeah,
so we get another player in there.
My dream would be like if we could get Tyrese Maxey,
done.
Lift a banner. That's what I'd like to see. And obviously, like our number one player right now, Anthony Edwards. He looks like Michael Jordan. He plays like it a little bit.
Whoa. Talking about having some 420 leftover right there, man. That's
I got to show you guys. I got to show you there's a picture of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and AE and Anthony Edwards. Obviously, it's a troll, but it looks very similar. Like it's a similar style of how they approach it. Like Anthony Edwards is like a ball dominant, like kind of shooting guard, and McDaniels is really like a defensive stopper for the most part, and also plays good on defense, on offense. But really, it's encouraging to see. I hope obviously they make it deep into the playoffs. But yeah, any other series that like pique your interest?
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna double down on your T-Wolves, man. They're 3-0, man. Come on,
yeah, first time 3-0.
Let's go 3-0 in the series. Let's hear it, Naveen. Like, come on, I need some energy from you, big dog, because you've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been your friend for the better part of a decade now. I know that you've been in the depths of fucking NBA playoff or just NBA season purgatory with the Wolves, man. KG broke your heart when he left to go to Boston, and it's just kind of not been the same for you since then. But 3-0 versus the Suns, and like you said, it was very dominant. Love seeing KD getting pieced up like that last night. Going into game 3, or excuse me, going into game 4, and here we are, about to sweep them up, right? So on to the next. I don't know that you're going to like who you have to face.
I mean, that's why I'm measured
tempered response here. Yeah.
I would prefer any other part of this bracket. Like, I don't mind playing Celtics. I don't mind playing Mavs. I don't mind playing Clippers, Thunder, Pelican. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just
those damn Nugs, bro.
You're in the damn most dangerous part of the quarter, man. But yeah, like I think this is a great time to be a T-Wolves fan. We'll probably lose the Nuggets, but at least you build on the wins. And next year we need to spend. Let's get Tyrese Maxey or something like a player of that.
So you guys don't think that Minnesota has any answer for Jokic?
No.
No.
I think it'll go 7. I will go over 5 games. It'll go 6 or 7, but I think they're a little bit too deep. We're pretty deep ourselves.
I mean, they got Michael Porter Jr. on that team, right?
They got Aaron Gordon,
Jamal Murray. Don't they at their guard? Yes. So I can kind of see your point. Joker, he's tough falling himself as a matchup. So
I think we fucked it up by being the 3 seed, right? I think we could have done it if they were forced to play 4 games at us, but we got to go
Yeah.
to elevation 4 times if we want to play 7 games. And that's really, I mean, the hidden factor of Nuggets is, you need to play a basketball game a mile in the air, basically.
Right.
So it's tough.
Well,
People
hey,
don't realize.
you made the comparison to Michael Jordan. What did Michael Jordan do? With
Yeah.
Utah and Denver, he'd go out there and he'd slay them every single time. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think
let's keep it positive.
Yeah,
Keep
Michael
it
Jordan
positive.
could do it. His son, his illegitimate son, Anthony Edwards, can do it.
There we go, man. Anthony Edwards and Cat. Like obviously you're gonna have to ride them. What's up with my man Mike Conley? Is he contributing at all?
Dude, he's doing all right. Like he's old as shit.
Former Memphis Grizzlies. That's why I know Big Mike so well. So how's he doing
Yeah,
for
I
you
mean,
guys?
he's actually in the high teens most games. Like he's just a very low key kind of player for us. He starts, but he doesn't really contribute as much. But he's also old as shit. But we do have the 6th man of the year, former LSU guy,
Nas
Nas
Reed.
Reed.
There you go.
He's dope. Like full of SEC players here with Ant.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I hated Nas Reed when he was at LSU.
yeah, I mean that's a guy that just jumped out of the screen and is like, okay, that guy's going to NBA, like for sure. And now it's kind of coming true for him, and I'm really happy that he stuck it out with Wolves for so long. Now that he's 6th man, like I expect him to get some kind of bag somewhere else.
There you go.
So.
Okay.
But I'm thank you for your service type of deal for him.
That was just. Well, I mean, he did go to the college that we're making a lot of strong ass offers, so he's used to that by now. So
yeah, he's used to bags being thrown at him. McDonald's bags, duffel bags.
Yeah,
those are the kind of
money that was supposed to go to kids with cancer bags, like all that. Shout out LSU for stealing, stealing money from kids with cancer down there in the cancer hospital in Baton Rouge. But anyway, Nas Reed, 6th man of the year for you guys. I don't know, man. I like your chances. I think you guys got a pretty, and I've been high on the T-Wolves for you all year. I really like the way, just how gritty. Just seeing the few games of the T-Wolves I've watched, I think they're a really gritty team, and I just feel like the Nuggets are more of a finesse, right? They got that more European style of play, and sometimes that doesn't travel as well as coming out in the mud with it, and I feel like that's kind of where Minnesota's at, they've got a guys that had to get it out in the mud, so hey. Yeah. Keep the high energy on the T-Wolves, man. I think they're going to make some noise. You might not win, but I think it's going to be a competitive series. I don't think you're going to get swept up.
Exactly. I think we go at least 6 games with them, and we're going to make it.
Oh, it's going to be 7 games, big dog. It's going to go 7.
Yeah, because we do have the size. Like we're one of the few teams that actually has the size to play. Their style. We just got to abuse Jokic.
That's where I think we're talking about Nas Reed. I think that's where he comes back into play there.
Yeah, we got 3 guys that are 7 foot that are good, So, we should be able to handle it. Our problem is going to be probably physical fitness, conditioning type of thing. Edwards, I'm not worried about. Conley, I would be worried about in elevation. So
with Rudy and Nas, do you think it's going to be a by committee, or do you think it's going to be a matchup with Joker down low?
Yeah, so my problem with Rudy is he can't really play in the 4th quarter. Because he sucks.
It's too winded. He's gassed.
No, it's that. Plus, he also doesn't hit free throws, and he gets into foul trouble. So it will have to be mostly Rudy in the first half and Nas in the second half. So. I mean, other than that, brutal series wise, I'm in the middle geographically of a hugely brutal series, which is Knicks Sixers, and I think it's getting dirty, and I love it, honestly. Um, you don't really see this kind of like the East is going
Yeah,
back
this
to
is
the
almost like
90s.
late 90s, early 2000s NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and I love it. And you see the games, they're like 96, 91, kind of like
Yeah,
195, and
dogfights.
tons of flagrant fouls. Stephen A is going crazy here on local radio. Everybody's going crazy. So it's nice to see that kind of action here. Um, Man, I'm looking at these teams, and not many teams really from the South. I guess your closest team would be Pelicans, like representing the South in the NBA. It's not
Sure.
really
I
an
mean,
NBA.
yeah, and you know, I look at the NBA completely different. I
Mhm.
mean, you talk about a guy like me. Uh, you know, I like to watch the Grizzlies do well. You know, that's kind
Okay.
of what I've kind of morphed into since Kobe departed the league. Um, but you know, my entire life, I was a Lakers fan. You know, growing up in
Okay.
Tennessee, so it's like how do you really equate that? Well, it just goes back to, I think we do a lot of and with the NBA, we build superstars,
Yeah.
and we're not big on building franchises. So like you look at the NFL,
Hmm.
and I know fantasy, you know, just bear with me, sorry, but you look at how fantasy football has kind of driven it to more of a superstar. Like I follow a player that's on my fantasy team, I like that player, but uh, really, I think, you know, you look at football, whether it's the NFL, especially with college. Um, College is kind of a no-brainer because either you went to school there or it's geographically located with you. But the NFL obviously is a huge benefactor of the region alignment too, right? So, you know, you're from Tennessee. Okay, most of the people are going to be Titans fans, or Cowboys fans. Unfortunately, I don't know how that worked out, but it's because Dallas is on TV. So it kind of goes back to that. Yeah, exactly. Right. Um, and you even look at baseball. You know, I could use Major League
Braves,
Baseball.
right?
Braves. You know, Braves is huge in the Southeast, right? And then some of the other teams in the South, like the Cardinals, right? And yeah, there's some few Yankees and Red Sox sprinkled in every in every state in the South, but you know, obviously Braves are the darlings. And it goes back to that regional identity. But with the NBA, I don't really think that's happened as much because of one, the
Mhm.
way the expansion has happened throughout the history of the league, and then just the way that you know, icons in pro basketball have kind of been ushered in. Like, I mean, you look at Larry Bird, you look at Magic Johnson, you look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, obviously, you know, he reinvigorated the league when it was almost like kaput, right? So
Yep.
Michael Jordan saved pro basketball, and in doing so, I think he galvanized the way that you fan as a pro basketball fan, if that makes sense,
Okay.
with really following a player more so than a team. I mean, why are you a T Wolves fan? Kevin Garnett?
Yeah. I
There
think
you
my
go.
dad just kind of let me choose whatever I wanted. And but the main mandate is to stay with the team. So
Yep.
I'm Vikings, uh, T Wolves,
What made you a Vikings fan?
Randy Moss. And I originally was a Mariners fan because of Griffey, so I'm all over
Okay.
the United States. It's easiest for me to go see Yankee games, so I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I'd say I'm lukewarm to Yankees, but other than that, I just stick with like, my childhood favorite player and
Right.
whoever he represents. But I see what you're saying with how the NBA choose, you stick with your heroes, right?
Yeah.
And for you,
Yeah.
Kobe is like a personal hero of yours, right? And it's hard to deviate from that. But yeah, like a very interesting discussion when it comes to NBA. I normally hate NBA, but the playoffs
Sure.
have been great.
Well, I'll tell you, and I wouldn't have been I love Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And I think most people my age, we grew up with that. We kind of grew up in the golden era of pro basketball with being able to watch Mike, watch Kobe, and then obviously more into our adulthood. And we're really close in age to LeBron. So it's a little different for us with him,
Mhm.
but even watching him and what he's done has been really great. Even though he's playing like a little soft ass punk in the playoffs, flopping like he always does. But if I'm 10 years younger, I don't make that comment, right?
Yeah.
Because LeBron is what Kobe was to me and what Michael was
Right.
to me, right? So I don't make that comment. But being so close in age and we more of a peer, not in like an athletic ability, but just in life, you just kind
Mhm.
of see LeBron through a different lens. But I will say, back to NBA playoffs, to just kind of wrap this up though. The reason why I think we love who we love is because of what comes out of the playoffs. Kobe Bryant, for me, like obviously I followed him coming out of Lower Merion High School there, getting drafted by the Hornets and being traded to LA, going through his formative years there, backing up Nick Van Exel, then the starting role come into play. Then in the late 90s, early 2000s, you see that relationship with him and Michael. Michael fades out. It's just Kobe running the league at that point with another guy named Allen Iverson. That series between the Lakers and the Sixers, right, galvanized my love for pro basketball. Like without that NBA playoff series between those two, I would have never really
Mhm.
paid attention to the NBA. And there's so many casuals out there, and I've probably turned more casual over the last, 8 or 9 years. Used to NBA basketball was a no miss for me. Like I watched it, just about as much as I did, Tennessee Vols, baseball or basketball or football games, right? Lakers were on. I was staying up that 11:30 game.
Mhm.
But it goes back to these playoff series and the one that you were talking about earlier, the gritty ones. Those are the ones you're sitting down, you're 11 years old, you're in front of your TV with your buddies, you're sipping on a Capri Sun, you're like, holy shit, this is a great game. And I like this guy. He's playing out of his mind. I'm gonna go ask for this jersey for my birthday, and the rest
Yeah.
is history. You're a fan of that player and that team. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to stay motivated and follow the game when it's a lot of threes being chucked, and you're b and I'll make a comment about load management, right? Load management doesn't
Soft.
exist right now.
Soft.
It doesn't exist right now, and because you have to be playing, right? We see it, you know, "Oh, man, I'm" I think Kobe has a quote about it, where he says, like, someone he has to respect everybody that's coming to the game, because it might be their first and only chance to see him, and he wants to put on a show for them,
Absolutely.
right?
They worked hard for that money because they wanted to see Kobe Bryant play.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of cases like that recently where, a lot of people are traveling to, NBA games from across the world. I think there's one where uh the Heat fan was looking for Jimmy Butler and he didn't play. He came from Argentina to see the game and Jimmy didn't play. And it was just a regular season game where he wasn't injured.
Nonsense, man.
So
Nonsense.
that's why I like NBA playoffs is that there's no more excuses and everything is so high stakes. I wish we could condense the regular season NBA season down to about 50 games, so
Yeah.
that we wouldn't have as much load management. Obviously, that's not going to work with TV rights and how much money things make. But when things matter more, these high level basketball players,
Naveen,
it's much better.
you may know this answer. When was the last time the NBA extended the season?
Not sure.
But
Not
it's
sure.
not been recent, right?
No, definitely not.
So
Definitely
to
not.
my point, we didn't hear none of that nonsense about load management when we were kids. You
Yeah.
know? Like you didn't hear Shaq talk about load management. You didn't hear Kobe talking about it. You didn't hear uh, KG, Paul Pierce, Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
You didn't hear Rip Hamilton complaining about it. Ben Wallace. Uh, She definitely wouldn't cry about load management. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the more softer players from our era, and none of them.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, he still doesn't even complain about it. He goes out there and plays, right? So it's just really odd to see how the game has evolved in kind of the attitude that some of the players have, especially like to your point about being there for the fans, right? I mean, they don't make the type of money they make without the fans.
Right. Yeah, I would say those are my feelings too. Overall, I'm having a great time watching NBA right now, and I can't say that for most of the time, most of the rest of the regular season at all. I think we can close with our best bets. I'll just start with mine. We have Mets and Cards over 7.5, and Guardians Braves over 8.5.
I like that.
So I think Braves right now. They have the best record in baseball right now. So typical kind of shit for the Braves.
Oh,
Yep, I think
it up, baby.
that'll be for sure be good. And yeah, I'm having I just having a fun time watching locally here, watching Juan Soto. He smashes the ball into upper deck
Oh
so
yeah.
easily. I feel like he is a perfect person for Yankee Stadium, and we haven't had like a lefty powerhouse hitter for a long time.
I was dunking on the Yankees earlier in the year, man. I think they're a sleeper. They came in not a lot of noise around the boys in pinstripes, but they're looking like they're going to be a formidable team in the American League this year. So
Yep.
shout out to the boys up in New York.
Yeah, I think you had one, which is Tennessee money line.
Yeah, Tennessee money line. Obviously, we're going to take care of Mizzou. I'm tempted to give you a futures bet on Tennessee winning the College World Series.
That's 8-1.
Yeah, it's 8-1. I'll table that to see how we do against Vanderbilt. And after that series, I'll make my bold prediction on a good value pick on where Tennessee's going to be finishing up the season at. So, but yeah, that's my best bets, bro. Man, not a terribly long show today. Just the two of us, but I think we covered some good stuff. That's happening around the world of sports. I know that we've kind of discussed a couple topics amongst ourselves, Naveen, that we might be shelling out in the next couple weeks. Do we forecast any non or off cycle shows that we typically don't do that might pop up outside of the podcast? Maybe like some rankings, some of stadiums or uniforms or any of that cool stuff.
Yeah, I think we can get into like a list game. We could probably do like a couple lists per week on the podcast. Just to note, we'll cover every UFC on Squaring the Circle, so that'll be something to watch out for. And we do have.
Do we got a Slices Right or anything coming up soon?
Yeah, so we'll cover all four of the majors. So I think our next one is French Open, and that should be in May. So look out for a Slices Out Right episode in May. But I think that it would be nice for the fans to just give them some more football related content, but in a funner way, not like analysis of players. So why don't we start with a list next week? And yeah, just pump it out for our fans. And yeah, maybe we'll tell like a gambling story or a Tennessee balls. Where was our top moments in being a Tennessee fan. We can rank them, and we kind of release one at a time. So we'll start with that starting next week.
Okay, cool, man. I know we got a big golf tournament coming up down in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Wells Fargo. I will be making an appearance down there to partake. I'll get some feedback. We'll monitor leaderboard stuff while I'm down there, and yeah, I'll probably even have to do the show. So I think it's what 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it is. I think it's Mother's Day weekend, so I should be knowing that right off the top of my head since I'm married and also have a mother. But it will be that weekend, and we'll probably do some broadcasting from there. And then U.S. Open coming to Pinehurst, North Carolina. So be on the lookout. We're going to start pumping some stuff out for that. I'm fortunate enough to be able to attend. And yeah, man. So next couple of weeks, we're going to have some, kind of those spring weather, spring sport activity sports to kind of talk about. And, just stay tuned to us. Hey guys, I appreciate y'all coming in. Naveen, thanks for doing this with me today, brother. It was fun. It's always fun when got a twosome in here. You can kind of go back and forth and sometimes deep dive into those nostalgic things like we did about the NBA playoffs, which is, to me, it was kind of cool. So like, subscribe, and share with others. If you like what we're doing, please tell us, comment. That's the only way we're going to get better at this. Is to know what you guys want us to talk about and do for you. So for Lucky Top Sports, I am Josh. He's Naveen. We'll see you next week, and appreciate y'all tuning in. Lucky Top out.
Go Vols.
GBO.